Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. For today I have a set of three fountain pens that I end up getting them by chance. One day when I went to work, I realized that I forgot my pen case with all the fountain pens that I usually carry, and sometimes when I take a break or on my lunch break I like to draw in my sketchbook that I usually carry with me. And because I had nothing with me, I kind of panicked, cried a little bit, but then I realized there was an Indigo close by to my workplace, so I decided to just go and grab a fountain pen from there. Sometimes they have the Plaisir fountain pen or a few other things that are interesting at least. And when I got there, I realized, or better said, I noticed this package with three fountain pens in it. Now, the package came with, the three fountain pens, a 60-page journal that you've seen it, mini journal, and each fountain pen had inside of it a medium ink, black ink cartridge. Not installed, just sort of fitted in there in the section. The fountain pens in themselves are eye candy, that's for sure. Build quality maybe not the best. The section looks very similar with the platinum fountain pens. The cap, it's again very eye candy and a little bit confusing. First time when I tried to open the fountain pen, actually I was trying to pull only on the transparent side of the cap, but then I realized that the cap is a little bit longer than it appears to be, and I had to readjust my hand in order to actually pull the cap off. I did fought with it for a little bit until I realized that. As I got it, I actually used it the first time to basically do a little sketch in my sketchbook, and this is the drawing that I got. Turned out pretty interesting. I liked it, but on this kind of paper I had to use it in a specific way, since I wasn't able to actually layer it or be able to get a more fainted line out of it so I can layer the ink. I had to readjust the way I was thinking on the line. So it was more of basically hatching lines and dots and just building value by adding things closer together or by, keeping them more apart. And that's how I end up doing the drawing for today as well. The line from the fountain pen, it's actually pretty wet and very thick actually. Like I mentioned, you can really layer it. The cool thing about the ink seems to be semi-waterproof on the paper. On the sketchbook that I carry, I'm basically using the same paper that I've been using lately in my videos. The only thing that I noticed with it, because now it's a sketchbook, and as you open and close the sketchbook and carrying it around, the ink actually tends to transfer from one page to another, depending on the ink that you have. This specific ink doesn't seem to transfer as badly as other inks, so from that regard I kind of like it, and that's what makes me think it might be semi-waterproof. And because it seems to cling a little bit better to the paper, I do like the ink. What I don't like as much about it is the line that I'm getting out of the pen. It's a little bit wider than I was expecting it. As you probably seen from my writing sample in there, some of the letters are actually not as sharp or as well defined. For example, the E's, they don't have that hole in the middle. It's pretty much two lines on top of each other. Construction wise, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, the fountain pen seems to be fairly well built. Not a lot of complaints about it. The caps into place pretty good, and if I'm bringing it next to the mic, it's fairly satisfying in its click. Like I mentioned, the biggest confusion for me was the fact that I thought the cap was actually shorter and it was only as big as the transparent part of the cap, but it turns out that the next line on the pen is actually where the cap ends. The section feels a lot like a platinum fountain pen. It's still okay. One thing that I find a little bit odd about it is how the barrel actually screws on top of the section. It feels like they're two different type of plastics. The barrel, it's a little bit firmer and you can't really bend it, but the section is very pliable and very I don't know, it's like a softer plastic, and as such, when you put the barrel over the section, when you screw it in, it is not as smooth, but it feels like it grabs better on the barrel, which I kind of like, and then maybe, I'm not sure. One thing that I dislike about it is the actual step up from the section to the barrel. Writing it, I didn't find it as annoying, but as I was drawing it and trying to keep the fountain pen a little bit higher up, that edge was slightly annoying from time to time. Feels a little bit sharp, at least on the on the unit that I used for the drawing. The other two I didn't touch it, so who knows, there might be small differences. Compared with the other woolly fountain pens that I've previously looked at, that I actually liked, the nib on this one felt a little bit scratchier. Still pretty good line, just like the other ones. It's just a little bit scratchier. It felt like I would most probably need to work the nib a little bit in order to make it smoother, but not smoother in the sense glass smooth, smoother in the sense of not scratching anymore. Line wise, both sides of the nib seems to work pretty much the same, not a lot of variance in there, which in a way is kind of good. It is pretty consistent. So overall, the first feeling that I have about a fountain pen, I don't know, think of it as a entry-level fountain pen in the realm of how big crystal, it's like an entry ballpoint in the ballpoint world. So yeah, it's decent, it's okay, it's definitely usable, and if eye candy it's your thing, these fountain pens definitely deliver. Value-wise, I think it's actually pretty good, pretty decent. 3 fountain pens for $20 Canadian, not included taxes, and comes with everything that you need, basically. The fountain pens, the nib, and 3 cartridges that you can easily install. And if you're new to this world, on the package, on the back, you actually have instructions on how to install the cartridge. And to its credit, once I installed the cartridge, the fountain pen started writing pretty much right away. The cartridge actually holds quite a little bit of ink. Like I mentioned, I did the drawing in my sketchbook, which I actually really like, and I think I'm gonna plan to redo it at a larger scale and maybe do something different about it, but I'll wait for a fountain pen that will allow me, that would have a nib that will allow me to actually layer the ink a little bit more than this one. So basically a more drier nib, I want to say. So like I was saying, the cartridge holds up pretty well, has a decent amount of ink. I did the drawing in the sketchbook, the drawing that you see, and I put in quite a little bit of ink. I didn't fill in the page as I usually do with most of my drawings, or not most of, some of my drawings, but I think it's decent. I still have a little bit of ink inside the cartridge, which should in theory last me for another sketch in my sketchbook. So yeah, overall, I kind of like it. If I recommend it, I guess it will do the job in a pinch. If you forget your better fountain pens at home and you really, really need a fountain pen to write with, this might be a good excuse to try it out and have some fun with. I was actually able to get a pretty interesting drawing today as well. Like I mentioned, because the nib doesn't allow me to layer the ink to get different values that way, I had to approach the drawing in a different way and just play with the lines and how closely I put them together, and lines and dots, and changing the direction of the line to try and build structure in my drawing, and basically texture in my drawing. It took me a little bit to come up with something final. It took me about 3 hours to complete it, and for a very long time as I was drawing it, I wasn't exactly sure the direction I wanted to go. It felt like I was probably going to end up with some sort of a tree, which in a sense it is kind of a tree-like shape, but it's more like a creature tree, or at least that's what I end up with. I didn't really plan for that. It just, I guess my brain is still stuck on creating weird, odd creatures / monsters. I guess this will be what you see during nighttime when you walk in the forest and you think the trees are looking at you. Most probably this is one of those things. So watch your back. Anyway, so like I was saying, I wasn't exactly sure on the direction that I wanted to go for quite some time. At one point, I actually thought I'm drawing like a sock monster, and I was like, no, we're not doing that. So I try and steer away from it. And again, I try and reinforce maybe a plant / tree into my head. But eventually, I end up doing like one big thing that you see. It actually end up being the eye. I thought that might be like a trunk or a branch that it's a little bit thicker, but I wasn't sure what to put in it, and I didn't touch it for a while, and eventually I had to admit that, hey, that's an actual eye. I worked on it, like I said, for about 3 hours. I slowly built up the lines. I might have overworked it a little bit here and there, but I still had fun. I have to admit, I really had fun. It's just a different way to approach these drawings on this paper. And as a cool thing, as I tried on my sketchbook as well, I brought it out to play some gel pens, or better said, a gel pen from Muji, and just brought in some color within the structure itself, or within the creature, to just give it hopefully a little bit more depth and more definition. I don't know if I like that much. Now that I'm looking as I'm drawing this thing, maybe I should have kept just the paper and the dual tone of the ink and the paper. I mean, the yellow / orange that I brought in to bring the color kind of sort of matches the paper and maybe puts more vibrance into this creature, but I'm not sure if I like it as much. What do you think? You think it matches? I mean, I'm not at that point yet, but I'm about to start doing that. I'm using an orange, light orange. I brought out the red as well. I was thinking to add some red and combine the orange and red, but I realized that might be too much color and I wasn't exactly sure what I want to add the red, so I just put it aside and used the yellow / orange in here. It's like I like it, but I'm not sure 100%. What do you think? As a heads up, I've been actually using a lot of ballpoints, especially roller balls actually, in combination with gel pens. And soon I think I'm gonna do a larger scale drawing with with these pens and combine them. I kind of like the results that I've been getting with them, and I'll be honest, I actually, to my surprise, I enjoy them quite a lot, especially in the sketchbook that I'm using. Seems like a roller ball or a gel pen works better, and the ink doesn't transfer from one page to another. Seems to attach much better to this paper without smudging. Anyway, another fun drawing for today. As usual, not 100% sure on the results. Hopefully you like it. Let me know in the comments below if you like it or not. Bottom line, interesting fountain pens. Eye candy if you like it. They still do the job, as you can see, they do work. Build quality wise, decent, can't really complain. They pose pretty secure. Questionable is the step up between section and barrel, but I guess being plastic can be smoothed out. Anyway, I think that's it for today. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Wish you a wonderful day or night, wherever you are. Take care. Bye.